Hello once again, all you people out there in the land of the tube of views. It's me, that gaming nerd John, and we're continuing our travels through 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, making our way through the Remembrance portions. Today's character of choice is one Renya Gouto. I'm excited to come back to Gouto's story. It's really interesting because in the actual playthrough of the game, you really don't unlock Gouto's storyline until very, very far in. So if memory serves, you basically have to complete like 50% of the game before you even start unlocking his story. But after going back and kind of replaying through it, I felt like having his story earlier, might be maybe mildly spoilerish, but honestly, it adds so much to the overall story. His pieces of the story are just so integral to understanding the world of 13 Sentinels as a whole. And honestly, his character just really appeals to me. That kind of approach to logic, laying out a case, going from one kind of premise, following through and seeing where that leads, just personally appeals to the logical side of myself as well. But that's not to say that the man isn't driven by his passions as well, as we'll find out today. But that being said, there's going to be a lot of actually pretty sizable reveals here as we continue our journeys with Renya Gouto and what his actions are during the final battle of 13 Sentinels. So, hope you're looking forward to it. Let's dive on in.
Aegis activation confirmed. The terminal is completely sealed off.
We did it.
They've changed targets. The next terminal is just over there.
They're already on the move.
Can't even let us catch our breath, huh?
I haven't hit my operating limit yet, but I'm going to dismount.
Whoa, hey, then who's taking point?
Pull it together. We don't need orders to kick some ass.
I won't be long. It's up to you.
Fine then. Let's roll, Yuki-chan.
Chihiro-san. Chihiro-san.
Look at that sunset. Just like it was back then. It's beautiful. I'm guessing you were monitoring me with a drone?
I have one locked on to you, yes. Their target's changed. They're coming back this way. It's dangerous here. We need to get you to safety.
Aw, don't tell me you're worried about me. How about you mind your own business? You already know how I feel. This is what I wanted.
Still.
More importantly, can you really afford to waste your time here? Or have you already given up? The invasion is still in its preliminary phase.
I've got time. First, I need to get you somewhere safe.
There are no safe places left. At least, none left for us. We're not safe anywhere. But you know that well enough. You're just losing precious time. Go focus on the job you're supposed to be doing.
Understood. I'll go. You'll find it safer towards the river. If, hypothetically, you wanted to know.
long as we're both here, there's something I want to clear up. So, tell me. You were in love with Miss Morimura, weren't you?
Oh,
You said she was mind-hacked. But it was more about you being jealous, wasn't it?
that's hardly...
This may be our last chance to talk. Answer me.
You are correct. Is that what you wanted to hear? That I was driven by some cheap, naive impulse? That I can't think about anything else?
And that's why you brought back my memory too, isn't it? You never cared how you managed to do it. You just wanted her back.
So much.
I'm glad. You really were a slave to your desires. That's the Renya Gouto I remember. It means I don't have to like you after all. Thank you. I think that's all I wanted to hear.
Professor,
You should go. After all, we still have our bet. Although it looks like I'm about to win it. You should go.
Activate Sentinel.
What's wrong? Did you get separated from your mommy? Could you leave me alone? It's dangerous out here. Just come with me, okay? Will you just... What are you... Don't worry. If you can't find your mommy, I can help you look. We just have to run away right now, okay? Oh, there you are, Miwako. Asami-chan! I'm so glad you're okay. Jeez, you're so reckless. You shouldn't have come this way.
Kisaragi, that girl is...
I know already. I'll get back to the battle once Miwako's safe. Is someone else here? Of course not. Never mind. The evacuation route's that way. Can I bring her too? Hey! That's fine, just hurry up. Strange. I know this is my first time here, but this suddenly makes me feel so... nostalgic.
Sunsets will do that, I find. Regardless of time period.
Yes, but... this must be... well, I suppose it must be one of those places. So? Where am I going?
I've rented an apartment under a false name.
Can't be any worse than our last accommodations. As long as it's not Rebel, I'll take it.
My apologies. If it's any comfort, I'm certain nobody will find you there. Not Shikishima, and certainly not Miss Morimura. I suppose we have Ida-san to thank for all this. The funds and paperwork he prepared were invaluable.
Tetsuya Ida. And he's still missing, is he?
Yes. Let's go. Chihiro-san.
You think I'm the professor?
That is what I said. You are Professor Chihiro Morimura, a major figure in Shikishima in the year 2188. Namely, the leader of its space initiative.
What are you even talking about?
Just some hypotheticals. A possible interpretation of the evidence I found. Ever since the battle that ended with the Sentinels infected, Miss Morimura has been pushing this operation as one of its fiercest supporters. This refers to the humans who can control the UFO's mainframe. Those compatible have nanomachines implanted in their bodies.
Okay, say I am the professor. Remember, Miss Morimura is the one who created me. You think that was her plan? She wanted a host for the professor and not herself? How would that make sense?
Miss Morimura ran an experiment to grant her clone compatibility. She believed that you were synchronized to her. She believed it was her own data she transmitted. But it was the other Chihiro Morimura in Sector 0. And of course, you entered the world as a newborn, incapable of verbal communication. So Miss Morimura never realized her mistake.
This is all speculation.
Certainly, yes. But if I'm right, and you are the professor, I imagine you were in quite a panic yourself. All things considered, it was a staggering deviation from the original plan.
What original plan?
Among the logs from 2188, one of Tetsuya Ida's noted that he'd found an anomaly. Chihiro Morimura was set to undergo a memory transplant in the final phase. And the final phase, well, that would be us.
I don't know where you think you're going with this.
A bit of patience, please. There's a little more context I need to provide. The log from the future I saw first. That would be the comms log I found with my own ID. The first log I checked held some surprises. The author seemed to be an elderly Renya Gouto. And the date of recording appeared to be 2188. I assumed it was some future version of myself. One that had time traveled into the far future. But now, I don't think that's the case. I believe it's the other way around. In other words, I myself am a clone of him. Every individual I saw in that log footage, they all created clones of themselves.
Clones? Huh?
I did find a log that proves this point.
What did you see?
A comms log between you and Professor Takamiya. Her field is genetic engineering, I note.
Professor Takamiya, how are the projections on those self-replicating probes? The simulations look good. Especially the survey range. We never expected a rate of expansion that high. It was definitely the right call to prioritize its strength as a group over individual units. These probes are pretty much living machines now. They self-replicate using natural resources mined from asteroids in their routing. they'll just keep building up and breaking down. An infinite cycle of self-replication on its way to its target. There's basically zero chance of the tech failing midway through. They'll just keep on going. Probably long after humanity's gone. Glad I came to an expert then. All that's left is the refinement of the memory cube. The infrastructural storage cell, right? The cube's made up of 5 identical memory layers. In theory, it'll compare itself to nearby probes and use them as a template for repairs. And if it can't be repaired, well... fine, 1 probe down. We've got thousands more. And our passengers? I'll be loading them up with the DNA of all the survivors. I've already got samples and data from all 15. Now it's just down to launching them. These clones will go with all our hopes on their shoulders. By the way, what do we do about him? I mean, after that DNA test. We do nothing. He doesn't have to know. What can I even say to him? Not much, I guess.
There were 15 survivors of that colony, each with a clone established to be compatible, though they grew up in different eras, different worlds. And you aimed to replace your clone's memories with your own. That was your real plan. Right now, I imagine your biggest question is precisely how much of that log I've seen. Am I close? You do have a genius mind, but also the form of a child. I imagine it's harder than usual to hide your agitation.
It's absolutely not. Now you're just trying to trick me?
I'd say, based on that log, Professors Takamiya and Morimura seem to know each other quite well. Maybe you know something about that.
Of course not.
Then perhaps instead, Tsukasa Okino? Being compatible, that makes one part of his identity clear. He's one of the 15 from the year 2188. So, any theories? Who was he in the year 2188? Care to guess?
Stop it.
No? Then allow me to clarify. That boy, Tsukasa Okino, is Professor Chihiro Morimura's son. But not her child by personal, conventional birth. The professor donated her egg cells as a young woman, in accordance with the policies on population control. No comment at this time? Their blood relation wasn't exactly obvious, until DNA testing on the clone revealed it. The professor was faced with the truth. He was her son, which naturally sparked an inconvenient surge of maternal instinct. However, Okino himself didn't think highly of the professor. He had his disagreements with the project staff, too. When it seemed like her end was near, the professor recorded him one final message. One last chance for him to know the truth.
Stop! You saw that? But how? You'd need a biometric ID match to access that log. So you should only have been able to access your own. My logs and Okino's should have been locked off.
Thank you, Professor Morimura. Indeed, the files I could access were somewhat limited. Mostly company logs, Meeting reports, call transcripts, bureaucratic chaff. Barely anything in the way of your personal records.
Then, how do you know what was in my logs?
It's simple, really. That should do it for preparations. Now, let's see if the biometric authentication works. Did it go through? Looks like that got me past the initial barrier, at least. Now, with Miss Mura's ID, I should be able to get into her logs. Maybe, if I check Miss Mura's logs, I might find a clue why your biometric ID matches hers. It really is her ID.
Iori Fuyusaka?
Though unconscious, she proved very helpful. She is Chihiro Morimura, a compatible version. If you really are Miss Morimura, then you should already know who Iori Fuyusaka is. Because that would mean you hid her here in Sector 4. The plan was for the two newborns to grow up with their own separate lives. Ida-san's idea, presumably. Chihiro Morimura was planned to be placed in 2104, and Tetsuya Ida in 2024, yet neither could be found.
I knew Renya Gouto of Shikishima pretty well. You and he are very different. Except that you both make my life a lot harder. So, suppose I am the professor. Then what?
I want to know the truth. I want to know the reasons behind all of this. But that seems unlikely. I imagine you're not inclined to tell me anything.
And why's that?
It'd be inconvenient for you if we had all the facts. Considering you're trying to eliminate us. From the very beginning, you never intended for this world to survive.
Why are they coming this way? The terminal's the other way. Oh, that's Sentinel. That's gotta be Iori. Hey, Iori, what's going on? Iori-chan?
They all appeared on this side out of nowhere. Just keep running.
That's easy to say, but where are we even supposed to run? Miwako, I'm sorry I couldn't get you somewhere safer, but I'll handle this. Usami-chan? Usami-chan! Usami-chan! gonna be okay. I need to stay logical. Logical. Just so you know, I didn't want to do this. I'm gonna try something. Huh? Honestly. Goto-kun! I know you can see me! You've got a drone up, right? I need you here right now! Goto? You don't mean... Goto-kun! Renya Gouto? Yup. So you know him too? There you are. Goto-senpai! Where did you come from?
Chihiro-san, why did you call for me?
My senior ID can get me access to the higher level commands. But I still need the biometric authentication to get it started. So I'll need your help. Though... it's not a favor for me. I'm the one who's going to be helping all of you, in the end. Don't move.
Are you trying to shift from here?
I need you to step away.
This place is...
We're inside the underground UFO. The Sector 4 mainframe.
What are you trying to achieve?
Maximum hypocrisy. Once I'm done here, your fight might get just a little easier. Get on the shifter already. I've established a connection to the system. My senior credentials should take care of the rest. Thank you. I didn't think you'd come back for me. I'm shifting you back. Now, let's get started, shall we? All units fighting the kaiju. Can you hear me?
Who's that? How'd you get on this channel?
Huh? Wait, you're the Gloomy Iwaka was helping.
Chihiro. Is that you, Chihiro?
I'm Chihiro Morimura.
What?
That's our teacher's name.
I'm going to evacuate the populace all at once. Readouts say 1.2 million people in Sector 4. They'll all be force shifted to the year 2025. As in Sector 3.
To the year 2025? You're shifting over 1 million people?
So you don't have to worry about any civilian casualties. That's all.
Wait a minute, Chihiro!
Initializing shift. Isn't this... That should be everyone. Unbelievable. Absolutely ridiculous. Why am I doing this?
Oh, I went through.
What's the meaning of this? How did you gain access? Explain yourself.
I'm Takatoshi Hijiyama. I just have one favor to ask of you.
A favor?
Well, it's kind of complicated, but I'm actually asking on behalf of someone else. A young man by the name of Okino.
Tsukasa Okino?
The jig's up, Chibi-Mura. We're on to your schemes. Yeah, so that ends this episode for Renya Gouto. Talk about some big chunks of information there. So you've got the truth of Chibi-Hero, if you will. Yeah, Chibi-Mura is actually Professor Morimura, and it's not even like the Morimura that we've been seeing in the present time frame. So it's not like Nurse Morimura, it's not Catsuit Morimura in the various visions that the characters have been having. This is the Professor Morimura of 2188, and that's big, because that showcases that there's this kind of a causality loop occurring where like she is enacting this plan to kind of continue her existence ad infinitum. And you can see like this discussion about how all these logs of the future might not actually be from the future. They may actually be from the far past. And it's our first hint about this greater truth underlying the world of 13 Sentinels. So not only that, but you also have this information about the self-replicating probes, Okino's connection to Morimura, just all of those things. And I love that reveal there with Gouto talking about how he saw those logs and Morimura kind of falling into that trap when he's like, hey, by the way, I didn't actually know that, but thanks for confirming it, because the only way people can know that is if they had those biometric locks, which I got around because Fuyusaka is your clone. So that was interesting. Just a lot of really cool moments there with kind of Gouto finally unveiling, I don't want to say his master plan, but all of the conclusions of his hypotheses coming to fruition. And just kind of Morimura actually having a degree of respect for him in the end, because during that final battle, the destruction portions of the game, you'll see those conversations that we just witnessed earlier are now showing up here in a character story. And that's just awesome to see it from kind of perspective, to have that ability to see both sides, both the player controlling the Sentinels, actually engaging in the fight against the kaiju, but also humanizing it, having those moments with Gouto imploring Chibi-Mura to assist, to lend a hand. And so it's really cool to see her taking action, her transferring all of those individuals out of the city from one timeline to another, and then seeing those effects in the game where the characters make those comments about how there's no one left in the city, everybody's gone, and now they can kind of fight without reservation. They can utilize their strongest abilities and bring everything to the table against the forces of the D forces, the kaiju. So that's exciting stuff there. Next up, speaking of exciting stuff, we're going to be going back to Natsuno Minami and her travels. The fun part about her storyline is, if you recall, she was trapped in 1945. Well, the cool thing is that due to circumstances that we'll find out here before too long, she's actually able to kind of hitch a ride. And so when you're actually playing through the game, there's a portion of time where Natsuno's story is actually locked out. You can't make progress until you actually rescue her. And I thought that was really cool. It's hard to kind of capture that without doing like a live Let's Play or something like that. So hate to say it, didn't happen. But it's kind of a neat little way of tying in gameplay with the narrative, something that 13 Sentinels I felt did very, very well. And speaking of doing well, if you think I'm doing well with this whole YouTube video stuff, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, because that's how the internet will let me continue doing this. Who are we kidding? I'd keep doing this even if the internet told me to stop. Probably. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you're enjoying the playthrough so far. There's so many large pieces of lore coming in hot right now, so a lot of really cool revelations just around the corner, and I hope you continue to stay with us. And until next time, my friends, as always, take it easy.